Hey guys, Mishi here, and May is the month of borderline personality disorder awareness. So, I figured instead of making yet another video about some symptoms and kind of the negative aspects of BPD, I'm going to focus on something that a lot of you guys have been asking me about, and that is positive coping mechanisms and healthy ways of dealing with our borderline personality disorder, as opposed to, constantly hearing about all of these things that are wrong with us. I figured why not, shed some light on some positive ways that we can go about making ourselves better. So, some of these are things that I have researched, some of them that I have found just during my day to day life, and some of them are through therapy. So, number one, I feel like is obviously the most important, and that is doing what you love and finding something that you love that is healthy, and is a way of putting yourself in that mindset in which you are not, you know, down on yourself, and you're not focusing on all those like negative things that have been happening, regardless of what's going on in your life at the moment. Could be, just shit on top of shit. If you have, even one thing that makes you feel happy, even for a second, or makes the pain go away, do that. Find some time in your life that you can just dedicate to this one thing that makes you feel like a person, that makes you feel, you know, it solidifies you, and, it makes it feel like, life isn't out to get you. When you're doing this one thing, you are, all consumed by it, and the hours seem to go by without really noticing. Because I find sometimes, when you're in that depressive state, all you can think about is the negativity, and the time seems to go by so fucking slowly, and you're just sitting there rotting away, just, not doing anything, not contributing to your own wellness. And that is so, so important, is, you know, finding time to really treat yourself, because everyone is worthy, everyone deserves that self-love. And it is so, so, so hard. Trust me, you guys, it's so difficult. I understand how awful things can seem, how low things get. And it's hard sometimes to either feel like you can do something good for yourself, or that you deserve that good thing. And sometimes you may not be able to think right away what that one thing is, but think back to when you were a child, and maybe something that made you happy. For example, I love to act, and it's hard sometimes just to, when you're sitting in your room alone, just to, act to yourself. So sometimes I like to make videos of myself doing various monologues. Watching movies that I really like puts me in, more of a positive frame of mind, so that when I do have to go out into the quote unquote real world, I'm excited, or at least not scared of being alone. A couple other things, I find being creative and having like an outlet for all of these emotions. I love to write. Sometimes it's really hard because your brain is so just like foggy, and you can't really think straight. You can't really put those thoughts into the correct words that make sense. And sometimes when you put it in on paper, it's like, what the fuck is this? But with practice, just slowly, just shitting out everything you can think of, eventually it starts to come out more logically. And sometimes, if you're in that right state of mind, it just keeps flowing, just flowing, and never stop yourself when you're trying to, get those words out. Just keep writing, just even drawing, any kind of artistic medium. I find people that struggle with mental illness, we are exceptional in these fields, because art isn't necessarily suffering, but we have the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. We are able to illustrate, the strongest of emotions that normal people don't necessarily get to feel. So, of course, it's usually a burden, but it can also be a gift. And so I think we should celebrate all of these emotions and to find ways to make it beautiful rather than always hear that they're bad and, not to focus on them. I think that embracing it is definitely important. Something else that I have been told through, various therapists and, like self-help articles and all that on the internet is reflection, self-reflection. So that always kind of puzzled me. Like, what do you mean self-reflection? It's hard to even, think of myself as a person, let alone, what I have done. Our memory loss causes us to forget what happened in certain events. We only remember emotions as opposed to thoughts and opposed to the exact timeline of things. Sometimes it can just be like, little blurbs of, this was said, that happened, this happened. It's kind of muddied. But slowly through, like every day, kind of reflecting on things that happened during the day, sometimes it can be, sometimes it can really hurt recalling those events, but don't necessarily dwell on the negative, if that makes sense. Focus on yourself and maybe write a journal every day. That's what my therapist told me to do. Write a journal every day, even if you can't necessarily remember everything that happened, just specific events, things that you remember saying, you remember doing, as opposed to what other people have been saying and doing. Focusing on yourself, because that helps us solidify ourselves in our own mind, because, sometimes we feel like we're not a person at all. Sometimes we're more of like the narrator and we're just recalling things that we see and hear, but not what we put out into the world. So, reflecting on that and, focusing on who we are and, steps to better ourselves, slowly but surely, we can improve. So those are just a couple of things that I have found work for me. Being creative, writing, drawing, focusing on yourself, finding me time, recalling what you have said and done, and kind of just being true and being good to yourself, because sometimes you can't expect other people to be good to you. Sometimes people, there just may not be a person in your life right now that can give you that. So you have to give yourself that, and you have to believe that you are worthy. And it is so hard, but, fake it till you make it. If you, try and get yourself to believe it, eventually you truly will believe it. So that's it for me. Keep educating yourselves. Just watching these videos is a step in the right direction. Finding out symptoms and cures and just learning more about the disorder can help you fight it. So I hope you guys have a great day and a great week, and I'll see you guys later.